when you change the old brakes are going to be thinner, and you're going to put thicker brake pads on. So you got to take the caliper piston, you got to push them up, and when you do this, it's going to shoot air into your brake system. If you let it, you can let air go all the way up through the brake system and out the top of the brake reservoir, and it's going to pour some fluid out. Just top it back off, and then pump your brake up. You should be good to go. Older vehicles, there is a bleeder on the brake itself, so you can bleed the air out, but you just got to get the air out of the line so your brake pumps up nice and has a good vacuum. Mr. We got another streamer, another donation. Been a big fan for almost a decade. Big ups, well, thank you, dude. Thank you for the $5. Hey, Wings, do you think I should trade my 2015 Subaru WRX paid off for 20? I have about $700 in disposable income. I don't know what that Subaru trades in for. But I do know that the Camaro Super Sport is viciously overpriced. I mean, like, I don't know what price you're getting on that car, but around here, like a Camaro Super Sport loaded, which is what the 2SS is, goes for around 60 grand, sometimes 70, depending on what options are in. And it's supercharged. You're looking at a 660 horsepower car. That's fun as probably be fun as fuck to drive, but I feel like it's here's the problem with the Camaro Super Sports, with the 2 package. The Corvette's coming out soon, and granted, it's only going to be 400 and I think it was 400 horsepower or something like that. It's going to be a better, more well designed and balanced car, and it's going to hold its value a lot better than the Camaro Super Sport will. Because the thing with pony cars in general is they fall off quick. For example, you never want to buy a Mustang new or Camaro new, and the reason is they depreciate quickly, like $1,000 a month within the first year. Like if you went and bought a loaded EcoBoost Mustang right now, you would pay somewhere along the lines of $38,000. Within 1 year of ownership, that $38,000 will go down to $26,000. Within 2 years of ownership, that'll go down to $24,000, and within 3 years of ownership, it'll be down to $21,000. Loaded. So, do with that what you will. Pony cars are not good investments of money, especially if you buy them new. You want to buy them used, and you just want to take care and find one that wasn't beat to death. A 6.2 is still a small block. It's got to be like 399 cubic inches or something like that. So if you get a Nissan, what would you get? A Skyline or a GT? I wouldn't buy a Nissan, honestly. There's never been a Nissan that I wanted. Shelby or Roush, depends on what year. Generally, like the 2012 Shelby Mustang, the Roush Mustang was better in every way, shape, and form because the Shelby kept a live axle, Roush did independent rear suspension. Roush Mustangs tend to be more well designed, and they tend to favor track more, and where Shelbys tend to favor just top speed. But both are really good cars. Planning on playing the Surge 2. I've almost platinumed it, and I've played it a couple times on stream, the Plump Pimp, but wasn't very popular. I'm not going to be doing no 16-hour stream, dude. Dodge Vipers, terrible cars. Do I need to say more? So you look like the perfect anti-air. Can you shave the beard off, please? No. Is the Dodge Viper a pony car or a sports car? The Dodge Viper would be a muscle car or a sports car. I mean, like, I don't really know the top of it, but it would not be a pony car because the Dodge Viper usually has a V10 in it, so that's most definitely a big block. It's a big block in a sports car. What's my favorite single-player games? Like top 5. I've listed that so many times. Like Kajuku, thank you for the $3. I'm not going to mod somebody just because you donate. Let's see. I got to catch up here. Do you think you could beat if you built your own car? Yes. If I built my own car, I could beat Kyle's 2012 Camaro V8. very easily. See, somebody's talking about the 5.3s can take abuse. I bought a Focus RST. What do you think of turbo four bangers? I'm currently in the market for one, so I think about them enough that I enjoy them. The problem with the turbo four bangers, especially the 2.3 EcoBoost, is what the Focus ST runs. Um, People think they're moddable, which they are technically, but there's a thing called EcoBoom, and EcoBoom is basically when people crank up the twin scroll boost and do things like tune it to get more torque out of it and things like that. And the big problem with this is Ford has these engines tuned from the factory almost to the breaking point. Like the stresses of the internal, how the engine is, like the piston rods, the lifters, they're all pretty much at the maximum point that is safe to operate the engine. And when you start pushing them past that, which we can for a little while, they end up breaking and they end up putting windows in the side of the block. And you see a lot of people with like extensive mods and things like that with Focus STs and Mustang EcoBoosts and things like that. So he says Jeep is owned by Fiat and is soon to be PSA. Doesn't seem likely. Here's the thing. The Pentastar V6 is probably most likely better than the 4-liter, regardless. Why don't you work at an oil change place or something similar? Because cars are a passion, and changing oil in everybody's car over and over again for 8 hours will make you lose the passion for cars. Why don't I play racing games like cars a lot? Because racing games are boring. The difference between playing a racing game and actually driving a car, you don't feel torque. You don't. All you really get is, oh, my car is faster, and things like that. Like generally, people that play racing games play it with like pipe dreams. Like, oh, this is a car I want, but I'll never own. I want to turbocharge my Toyota 86. What's your opinion on turbocharging non-turbo cars? Turbocharging non-turbo cars is fucking expensive. Honestly. Like, I would not turbocharge a Toyota 86 anything. Honestly. One, how many miles is on that engine? Two, what is the internals of that engine? How do they look? Is there's honing still in the cylinders? You know, how much carbon buildup there is? What can your fuel pump take? Because you most likely going to have to upgrade your fuel pump. You got to upgrade your fuel pump injectors, your drive shaft. Uh, just all kinds of things that go into changing a turbo. That's why it's super expensive to put a turbo on. And most turbos are hand built for your car. Like you don't go buy a turbo off the shelf. Generally, companies that sell turbos, they build them to order. For example, if I called up Pro Charger and go, hey, got a Mustang V6, I want a Pro Charger. They will start, once I give them the money, they will start hand building my turbocharge kit right then and there. All the piping and everything for my car. So finding that for like a Toyota 86 that's not like a pre-assembled kit that's like made in China or something is going to be really hard. I would suggest against it. Generally, you don't want to do it unless you're making a race car or a drag car or whatever you're trying to do. So your car chasing for 14K, and you're looking at 50,000 in your area. So let's just go and assume that you can get 5,000 off that 50K right off the rip, right? Just right off the rip. That's dealer thing. So that leaves you financing around 32,000. So you're looking at a $600 payment for 5 years. or you're looking at coming out of pocket 32,000. Not to mention your insurance is going to go through the roof. Did I play Mario as a kid? Yes, I did. I just don't play Nintendo games for on stream. Aren't EcoBoost Mustangs only bought by rental companies? No. Most Mustang sales are EcoBoost Mustangs. What's the ugliest car in my opinion? Ever or outright now? Like the ugliest car ever might be the Pontiac Aztek. I mean, the Pontiac Aztek is an ugly pile of shit. What's another ugly car? The only thing that's coming to mind is Pontiac Aztek when you say ugly car. There's some cars I don't like. There's like I think Kia there's a couple Kia cars I don't really like the way they look at when they first came out. I don't know anything about barbecue. I just do it because the trolls do it. If Ford did a hot dog eating contest for a Ford Raptor, would you enter? I couldn't eat a hot dog, dude. As much as the trolls want to believe like I'm this massive eating person, I can't eat a lot. Like for example, the other stream, I bought Reese's mini cups for Halloween, and I ate 3 of them during a stream. 3. And somehow that turned into a 5-pack of Reese's, which they don't even sell 5-packs here. They sell 4-packs. Everything's blown out of proportion when it comes to me because it's trendy. Would you ever consider trading for a 3-valve? A 3-valve what? A 6.2 is not 379 inches because a 6-liter is 390 inches. Let's see. Oh, let's see, the 379 inches, huh? Is that GM? 379. Why is the 6.0 so heavy? $364. Okay, you're right. You're right. I was giving bad math there. I wouldn't consider gaming my hobby, honestly. Let's see. Should I buy a beater or a 15K reliable 2016 Honda Accord? I can give you 2 answers for this. I can give you the Dave Ramsey answer, and you should always buy a beater because, the difference between a $6,000 car and a $50,000 car is about 4 seconds, right? But that takes all the passion out of it. There's never a situation where it's like, I really enjoy my car. My car is an extension of my personality. I like to have fun. That's just like I use my car to go to work, go to the grocery store, and move my shit around. It all depends on how invested you are. I had this dilemma for a long time, and that's why I drove my old ass truck forever. Mainly because it's like cars are terrible, terrible, terrible investments. There's hardly ever a reason to buy a car to try to make money. Unless you're flipping cheap cars and you're fixing them to make money, every car you buy is just going to depreciate in value to a point. So that's why they're terrible investments. But cars are fucking fun. And like things that are fucking fun, you're going to waste money on them. Example, if you go to a bar, how many times have somebody went to the bar and spent $100 bill? I mean, like you had a good time that night, but like that $100 could have spent somewhere else. You're gonna take and spend money. You can't take any of your money with you. This whole like save toward retirement, like this is terrible advice I'm giving right now. So please don't take this advice. But like this is just my mindset. The whole idea that everybody should be saving for retirement at all times is old head thinking. Mainly, mainly, and here's the main reason I say this: you're not guaranteed a lifetime. What is your lifetime? How long you're gonna live? I mean, there's other variables that come into this. Do you have kids? Do you need to save for kids? I mean, like some people like I need to pay for my child's college. Okay, sure, but like even if you have kids, they're not basically deemed they're gonna make it to college. I mean, there was like 6 people in my high school that died in my graduating class. Um, Life is uncertain. That's all I'm trying to say. And like, you never know how much time you have. And if you sit and squander every moment and never try to have fun because it costs money or things like that, you're going to live an unfulfilled life. But you should try to keep some money. Try to be smart with your money, but spend it too. That's what I'm saying. I know it was a terrible answer, but that's the best answer I could give. Let me just catch up with Chad here. You're going to have to ask your questions again because, like, I can't answer the questions and keep coming to. There's a terrible question. We pay Social Security so old fucks can live now. I doubt there will be any Social Security by the time I'm that age. Why should I pay for someone's grandma to live? Well, why should you care about somebody that you never met before? Because you're human. Honestly. Look at it this way, right? Just imagine like somebody's driving and they have a heart attack and they're crossing an intersection and they slide into another person and T-bone them. 2 or 3 people in that other car are hurt. They gotta go to the hospital. They might even die. Why should you care? Well, what if they don't have insurance? What if they don't work in a job that offers insurance? We don't have universal health care here in America. Not everybody's guaranteed to have health insurance. There's like 50 or 60 million people in the United States that don't have health insurance. Most of them being small business owners, which is the lifeblood of our country. So, do you just let them die? Same thing was here. What do you want your grandmother to die? Like honestly, like should you punish people for getting old? Because there's going to be a time where you can't pull yourself up by your bootstraps. What happens if you get cancer? You know how much cancer costs? Millions of dollars. Nobody has that kind of money. They don't. They rely on insurance to carry them, and insurance can only carry you so far. My buddy, um, his father was on dialysis, and dialysis is one of the few sicknesses that we do universal health care on in America. But even then, it's subcontracted out to the lowest bidder. But like just the idea, I don't know. I, I'm not equipped to answer these questions. The whole idea is like it's like the whole idea of like people gets mad at people on welfare. How many mothers that have children on welfare and people get mad at them for accepting money that they worked for? But at the same time, like, if you don't help that person, all their children are going to be doomed as well. Right? Like, if you go, I'm giving you nothing, you're getting no food, no help, nothing. You're going to create criminals. You're taking away opportunity for somebody to actually get out of welfare. Because if you don't help that mother on welfare, her children are going to be in the same situation she's in. They're going to be in a continual cycle of poverty. And it gets to the point where people are straight unemployable. Take, for example, bum living on the street. He doesn't shower. He might have an alcohol addiction. And the only clothes he owns hasn't been washed in 2 months. He's been wiping his ass with the sleeve of his jacket. That guy's unemployable. There's no job that's going to give him any kind of pay. And even if he does squeeze a job out, it's most likely going to be minimum wage. Some person will be like, well, he should have made better choices in life. I mean, granted, he could have made better choices in life. I don't know. I'm not equipped to handle this on like a live best. This is like a video type topic where you can sit down, write your thoughts out, and present them. Like to give a upfront lecture, especially at 3 in the morning about this topic. I can't. I'm not equipped to do that. They tried to start a scheme in UK to give heroin addicts free heroin. That works, King Dodd. That particularly works. That's actually an idea taken from Norway. Like Scandinavian countries, for example, if you're addicted to heroin, right, they will give you free heroin at like drug clinics, but it comes with a price. To get the heroin, it's going to be clean. You don't have to risk killing yourself. It's not going to be laced with anything bad to try to make more profit. But they're going to give you a depreciating asset of heroin each time you come until you don't need it anymore. They slowly wean you off the drug. This is the only way to get somebody off a hard drug like heroin. And you're looking at it, well, the government's giving out free drugs. It's like the people that complain about like Narcan. Heroin is a clean drug. Google it. I don't have to Google it. I live in South Carolina. I live in Horry County. Horry County, the number one death around here is heroin. And they lace heroin with a thing called fentanyl. Fentanyl will fucking kill you. So don't come out with that heroin's a clean drug mess. Let's see. What else we got here? So anybody got car questions? That's really my strong side. Like y'all ask these questions about like moral compasses and all, but here's the thing. Like my whole moral compass idea is hinged upon this. You can't let people suffer. One, because it makes people hungry, and hungry people fucking kill you. Fastest way to get somebody to kill you is to make them hungry. There's a saying that the apocalypse is 3 missed meals. It takes about 3 meals missed, or like 3 days worth of food, before somebody goes and looks for a way to eat. And if you want more thieves in the world, you want more shootings, more killings, make people hungry in a country that has castle laws. Let's see. Die trying. Bigger is a stupid dream. Talk about any Canadian. Let's see what he wrote. Let me finish his comment off here. Mr. Slam Jam. Favorite Subborn boss fights? Champion Gundyr, Slave Knight Gale are always the blast. Twin Princes is one of my favorites. I really enjoyed the Gargoyle fight in Dark Souls 1. And I actually like the Sekiro fights. Like, Owl on top of the castle in Sekiro is a really fun fight as well. Talk to any Canadian, ask how much taxes they pay. Look up housing in any major Canadian city. Healthcare will never be free. Universal healthcare is not about free healthcare. It's about government subsidized healthcare. It's about single payer healthcare. There's no such thing as free healthcare. Everybody's got to pay something at some time. But to look at look at the system that's in play now. We already have a system in play for like universal health care, and it's the insurance company. You got to pay. Everybody pays in on insurance, and those who need the insurance use it. But it's dictated by companies. Companies control the profit margin. Companies control who lives or dies. And if you don't meet this company's quotas, they can jack their prices up to the point you can't afford them and just keep you off of it. So what you're doing is you're trying to eliminate the companies, health insurance companies, and you give it on a base. Everybody has it. Everybody pays into it. No exceptions. So you're going to have people that pay more, and you're going to have people that pay less, but the quality of service stays the same. That's because, like, healthcare to me should be a basic human right. And to say Canadian taxes, well, like, what you don't understand about American taxes is we get taxed in a lot of different ways. I've said this before. Like, for example, in South Carolina, I don't know if this stuck, but they were trying to pass a bill about 3 years ago where any computer that could access pornographic material would have to pay a $20 surcharge fee. For example, any computer built in South Carolina or sold in South Carolina would have to have a program on it that blocked all pornographic material from being shown on the computer. But the company could pay for that computer to be exempt from that program for $20 US. And believe you me, that savings is going to be passed on to the consumer, right? So that made every computer $20 more. So what that basically did is they made the government of South Carolina get $20 per computer sold in the thing. That's a form of a tax. You get taxed on your land, you get taxed on your house, you get taxed on your bubble gum, you get taxed on your Coca-Cola, you get taxed on your federal income, you get taxed on your state income, you get taxed on like your car, you get property taxes, you got boat taxes, you get taxed. Like right now they're talking about how what's gonna happen when electric cars take over. For example, a lot of people don't know this, but most of your road construction is actually paid for by a thing called a gas tax. Gas taxes pay for all the road signs and all the road pavements that you do. Period. And when electric cars start becoming the norm, gasoline's going to get sold less. When gasoline gets sold less, that means they're going to collect less taxes revenue. It means they're going to be less money for the roads to get fixed. So how do you solve this problem? You got to keep the currency up for the taxes to keep the road workers working. So do you increase property taxes? Yeah, we pay car taxes yearly here too, but most of our road tax comes from gasoline taxes. Paying tolls generally pays for the roads, local nomad. Like, for example, in South Carolina, there's a couple paid toll roads, but they're owned by private companies. Road tax would probably come from car registration. That's my thought, but like car registration can't stay as cheap as it is. Like when do you make people have to bring their odometer in, or maybe have like the newer cars computers linked straight to the DMV, and you get taxed on how many miles you drove or how often you use the roads. Because like right now, that's how it works with gas tax. The more gas you use, the more tax you pay for the roads. What do you think about if we had a distribution of wealth in the United States? I don't think we need to redistribute the wealth, like make it even. Like that's like communist talk. But I feel like there should be regulations put in place that limit a person's spending power on like political things. They should limit super PACs. Healthcare should be universal, and there should be a higher minimum wage because like minimum wage hasn't raised in forever. I do not know what my glass prescription is. You're saying Coyote yes or no? For what? What year Coyote? What generation? Like motors go through generations, just like PlayStation controllers. Do I think Bernie has a chance next year? I have no clue. The American minimum wage is a joke. There's nowhere in America that you can live off $7.25. I live in South Carolina, which is one of the cheapest states in the union to live in. And if you made $7.25, you couldn't own a car, you could barely afford rent, and don't think about having kids. That's not true. Raising minimum wage doesn't make everything else go up. Minimum wage is $7.25 in the United States. Different states have their own minimum wage, but the federal minimum wage is $7.25, and most of the southern states go by that. That's why car plants build in Texas and like South Carolina and places like that. Why would a person who makes minimum wage deserve a car? Because if you spend 40 hours of your time doing anything, you should be able to have a place to live and clothes on your back and a way to get to and from work. That's what a minimum wage is supposed to provide. The idea of a minimum wage, it makes the employer at least pay you enough to live off of, and minimum wage no longer pays enough to live off of. Anybody here live in California? Like right now, anybody here from California? Alright, 10's a night. Alright, what does a Big Mac cost in California? If I go to McDonald's right now and buy a Big Mac, what am I paying in California? Bernie Sanders is my candidate. You know what? Alright, what is the California minimum wage? California minimum wage is $15 an hour, right? 11, 12. Let me let's see, let me just look it up. California California minimum wage right now is $12 US per hour. That is $4.75 more than South Carolina. So, you would think that the Big Mac costs more in California, right? It doesn't. It doesn't cost more. In South Carolina, a Big Mac runs you about $4.25. Combo runs you about $7. So, why is the Big Mac, the cost of living is higher there? The cost of living in California isn't higher because of your minimum wage. The cost of living is higher because there's more money there. They have Silicon Valley, you have Hollywood, you have lots of big businesses, you have a lot of money getting poured into the area. That makes property value more considerably higher. And that's because the closer you are to work is more desirable, so those desirable things inflate the prices. That has nothing to do with minimum wage. That has everything to do with supply and demand. Because let me tell you this, almost everything, company-wise, is the same price in California. If I want to buy this phone cost $1,200 when I bought it. Right? That's what this phone cost. It's an iPhone X. Bought it right when iPhone X was the top of the line phone when it came out. Right? If I would have went to California and I would have walked into Best Buy in California, you know what I would have paid for this phone? $1,200. It doesn't matter if the minimum wage is $12 an hour or $7.25. This phone costs more in South Carolina. You have to work almost twice as hard to get this phone in South Carolina. You could do the same job in South Carolina, and this phone is going to stay the same price. If I go buy a Ford Mustang in California, it's going to be the same price in California as it is in South Carolina. They're both dry states. There's no rust. They're both going to hold their value around the same. The reason I don't compare rent is, like I said, rent is a commodity of supply and demand. If there's a huge supply and not a huge demand, it gets cheaper because they want people to rent. If there's a very little supply but a huge demand, the rent goes up. Supply and demand. I have a OtterBox Defender. I don't know if you see that. It's an OtterBox Defender. I should have waited for the iPhone 11. The iPhone 11 is basically the same thing I have with one more camera. I'm good. All right, let's increase the cost of business. In 2018, McDonald's generated a total revenue of $21.03 billion. Over the last 13 fiscal years, McDonald's revenue achieved its peak of $28.11 billion in 2013. Since this peak, revenue has decreased annually over the last 3 years, hitting $21.3 billion in the United States. Alright, that's profit. That's fucking profit. Right? No matter where they sell their fucking burgers. Right? And a lot of companies do this. Right? McDonald's has to pay a guy in California $12 to make that fucking Big Mac. It pays $7 in South Carolina to make that same fucking Big Mac. And it's still making $20 billion in profit a year. That's taking every employee's salary, every CEO's salary, every piece of energy it costs to run the stoves out of that process. That's just raw income. And you're trying to tell me that, oh, they got to charge more for their burgers. No, they don't. If McDonald's paid $15 an hour to every worker in America, would they lose a little bit of money? Yes. But at worst, they'd make $19 billion in profit versus 21. And you know what would happen? You know what would happen? Here's what would happen, right? People with more money spend more money. Example, rich guy, right? Rich guy. Let's name him Bill. Bill Rich Guy has $100 billion. Bill Rich Guy loves fucking cars. He's Jay fucking Leno. He buys 200 cars in his lifetime. 200. Right? That's a big surplus for one guy to buy 200 cars. He's so good for the economy. But if that Mr. Bill, instead of hoarding his money, decided to give more money to the 600 workers he employed, well, damn, now you've sold 600 cars instead of 200. 600 is more than 200. 600 puts more people in jobs. I think it's a no-brainer. People with more money spend more money. Why should we punish companies for making it big? Because companies aren't loyal. They're not. Just like IBM sold computers to the Germans while they were killing people and making atrocities, companies are all about making themselves the most money possible. And if a company wants to pillage resources, be it water, be it human talent, be it resources from our country, they should be liable to pay for those resources, be it manpower, be it restrictions, be it whatever. Because if a company doesn't like it, they can fucking leave. If McDonald's doesn't like how America wants them to do business inside of America's borders, they can fucking leave. And you say, well, what if we don't get McDonald's that way? Well, that's what capitalism is. Capitalism is a chain of, like, if you have a situation where somebody can make money, somebody will take, Walmart's place. If Walmart shut every fucking door right now, some company would go over and take over what Walmart was doing and work within the strains that the United States put out. The most important natural resource of your country is the people in it, not the businesses. Because guess what? The businesses are not going to protect your country. The businesses are not going to build your country, and the businesses are not going to live in it. They already proved over and over again that they're willing to ship all the money out just so they wouldn't have to pay taxes. What do you think of McDonald's kid loot boxes? I don't know what the fucking McDonald's kid loot boxes. Are they giving like loot boxes and Happy Meals now? You do get rewarded. But how much you get rewarded, like for example, there should be salary caps, honestly. Like how much you could pay somebody should be capped. But that's not going to happen. But like what people can do and give like soft caps is force companies to work inside the boundaries to pay people for their time adequately. And a person, I don't give a fuck what they do. If they fill up coffee cups for 40 hours a fucking week, they should be able to have a place to live, and they shouldn't be starving. Nickel, yes. But that's a whole different problem. Alright, well, why bother trying to see if you get all your hard work capped? Because you like money. For example, if you did a job and you made $250,000 a year, and somebody goes along the line and says, like, look, this is hard to explain off the top of my head, but like, Ethan Fively, you're on the verge of getting banned, dude. You've asked the same question 1,500 times. No, it doesn't lessen the incentive to want to work hard. Do you think if $250,000 was on the table and you go, you got to do this to earn this money, you don't think there'll be people stepping up to do what it takes to earn that money? Because $250,000 will let you live a very easy life in a large section of America, like 90%. If you made $250,000 in fucking Myrtle Beach, you could drive any car you fucking wanted. You can live anywhere you fucking want. And people would come to you with business ideas every fucking day. Panty dropper, what transmission question you have, pimp? Anonymous, Bernie 2020, old people in the chat bootlicking their bosses. I agree. I'm the living, breathing example of people doing the bare minimum. You're wrong. Let me tell you why you're wrong. You're judging me based on a period of my life where I had no motivation, which I'm still in that period. But when I was motivated, I worked my fucking ass off. I put out 3 fucking videos a day, every day. Not for a month, but for like 5, 6 years. 3 videos a fucking day. My engine won't start, and I think it's the transmission. Well, I mean, like, it's a possibility, but that would mean like you have a bearing gone bad on your transmission. But usually your engine won't start. Your transmission is not the cause of it. Your engine's stronger than that transmission shaft is. What happened to 3 videos a day? The incentive went away. Like, I got really depressed. I went from making really good money to really poor money. And I was really burned out and tired. And I got depressed. And when I got depressed, I ate more. And the more I ate, the fatter I got. The fatter I got, the less I wanted to do. And then shit just went downhill. Like, when I get motivated, I'm more likely to work. And like, I haven't had anything to motivate me lately in life. I don't think I see success because I don't want to do YouTube anymore. That's the honest truth. I don't want to do YouTube anymore because YouTube is a fucking stressful, unfun, hectic, unrealistic way of maintaining your life. Escalades are not worth it. Why should I care about politics? You probably shouldn't, young sneak. It just adds stress to your life, and your opinion doesn't your vote doesn't fucking matter. It doesn't. There's things called like super delegates. Fucks the Democratic Party all up. Super PACs fuck the Republican Party all up. I mean, like, look at it. Like, Republicans worship money like it's the golden idol. When I think about the Trump scandal, I don't give a fuck about the Trump scandal. But I'm also not a person that drinks the Kool-Aid and thinks Trump did anything to help this country, because he hasn't. Like, what has Trump done to make America great again in the last, 3 years he's been a president? I don't remember a damn thing. Panty dropper. You feel like the gears are shifting on their own? I have no clue, man. I have no clue, Tasty Apple. If you could make 30K a year and be a better human than the guy who makes 250, just the truth, I agree. I would usually consider myself a Republican most of the time. I'm just between what I think is right and wrong. Didn't he create more jobs? It's hard to contribute jobs with the current standing president, right? You can obviously say George Bush didn't create more jobs because he basically threw us into a recession. And Obama took over during a recession and pulled us out of a recession, and everything was going up when Trump took over. Some could contest that Trump's success is still riding the curtails of things Obama did. And I believe that's basically what's happening, because I can't look at any policies that Trump put out that's like, okay, this is gonna cause us to have less people on the system and more people working and earning their own money. To say Uber is not a job is being disingenuous, Genetic Gamer. Uber most definitely is a job, but it doesn't make a whole lot of money. Obama was not the worst president of all time. Not by a long shot. Like, I think you can't say Obama is the worst president of all time and then without mentioning George W. Bush in that conversation. Because, in my opinion, George W. Bush probably was the worst president of all time. He started a war that's lasted 15 plus years now. He had America attacked on its own soil for the first time in like 65 years or some shit like that. He caused the housing recession by repealing Glass-Steagall. He gave banks all this power, and he fucked a lot of people up. Hell, I got laid off because of what George Bush did. George Bush tripled the national debt in a 4-year term. And like you're trying to tell me that Bush was better than Obama? You can say a lot of shit about Obama, and like I wasn't a big fan of Obama in his first term. I didn't really start liking Obama until like his third, till the end of his second term, which is the last 2.5 years. But Obama never had motherfuckers throwing shoes at him. It just didn't happen. This is not even a Republican Democrat thing. George Bush was cancer to this fucking country, and he was a terrible president. Like, if you want a Republican president that I'd vote for, Ron Paul. Ron Paul would be a Republican president I'd vote for. Oh, I would have voted McCain if he wasn't running up against Obama. Like, if it came to, like, McCain's dead now, obviously, but if it came down to, like, right now, McCain versus Trump versus, like, Biden, I'd vote McCain. I think McCain would be a better president than Joe Biden would be. But most part, Republicans are like corporate figureheads. What former president would I like to have back? FDR. Franklin Delano Roosevelt. In my opinion, the greatest president we ever had. FDR ruined this country. That's why. That's why the period of time this country was considered at its greatest, FDR was the leader of. Like the generation that fought World War II and the country that came out of all the actions in World War II as a superpower were all laid by FDR. If FDR didn't die in office, we'd have universal health care to this day because FDR and Churchill were both talking about implementing it toward the end of the Second World War. I blew up my Gen 1 Coyote doing a watt pull on 15 psi. Should I salvage a 5.0 out of an F-150 to get it going again? I mean, you could, but the 5.0 in the F-150 and the 5.0 in the Mustang are different engines. They're not different engines, but there's different things about them. Do I like Toyotas? There's certain Toyotas I like. I mean, I feel like the Tundra looks nice, but it's kind of needs an update, like on the drivetrain and all the other stuff. And I think they're overpriced. And my biggest gripe with Toyotas in general is they're overpriced based on popular opinion. What is the best color? Purple. What are some government conspiracies that I believe? I believe that Jeffrey Epstein was murdered and didn't kill himself. I do believe that. I do believe that banks control the government. But I don't believe very much else. Like I don't believe Bob Lazar, and I don't believe like Commander Ferber or any of the other alien conspiracy theories. I don't believe in like government testing to make soldiers that don't sleep, or I don't believe in like hedge mazes that travel you back in time or things like that. Do I think the government faked some moon missions? No. I believe we went to the moon. Do you think the network part needs to email security server? No, we're not playing any games now. I'm actually about to get off. I'm getting sleepy. Am I participating in November? No, I'm not. What were the posters you had in the background when you showed your bayonets? The poster that was here was a movie called The Jacket, starring Adrian Brody. And the poster over there was a poster for Blind Guardian for their single Fly. The poster on this wall back here was a signed autograph copy of Million Dollar Baby, like a poster that had all the signatures on it. And the poster I had on that wall was a signed Cannibal Corpse concert venue poster. I bought it with the signatures. I didn't have him sign it myself. If I could pick any car regardless of price, what would it be? Uh, if I could have any car regardless of price, it would be a 2020 Ford Raptor. I don't know. I probably got a lot of life left to live. So, or I got a little bit of life. Who knows? I don't know what cars I'll own in my life. I don't mind the EcoBoost, no. Especially now since they're multi-port injection. Yeah, but the Bronco's ugly as fuck, young sneak. Yeah, the Camaros, like the Camaros always had terrible interior. That's why I never really liked them. But I'm gonna go to bed, boys. Country more Monero. Holy shit! Did I not recycle that? Or did somebody donate $100? I don't think I restarted that. Yeah, that I made right around $50. See, I didn't restart that. Well, I just wanted to talk to somebody tonight. I'll see you guys later. We'll probably do. I'm gonna try to do something tomorrow, hopefully, and everything will be gravy, baby. See you guys. Have a good night.